Hi, Jessica here. Welcome back to My Transgender Nation. Today we have a guest, Joanne Carroll. Hi, Joanne.
Hi there. How are you?
Excellent. Joanne is the executive director of Trans Advocacy Pennsylvania. She was also in 2018 appointed to by the Pennsylvania governor and sworn in as a commissioner of the Pennsylvania LGBTQ Affairs Commission. She is a co-chair of Keystone Conference annually, and she works a lot with the transgender community, which we are going to talk about. So she's got a lot to share with us. So thank you for doing this today.
It just means I got a lot of hats. That's all.
There you go. Well, and it got to be there for a reason. That's for sure. I thought, Joanne, maybe we could start with maybe you sharing a little bit about your personal story and how you got to where you are today.
Well, I knew pretty early on that there was something different, and probably like most of us, not having the language for it, you never could put your arms around what it was. But I knew when I was about 4 or 5 that something wasn't matching up between what they told me I was and how I felt. Because I saw my girl cousins doing things that I wanted to do. I saw them getting gifts that I wanted to get. Yeah. I saw them wearing what I wanted to wear. I mean, it was an incongruity as far as I was concerned. But
how young were you when that started?
4 or 5.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's not uncommon for people within our community. No. Some realize a little bit later, but generally it's preteen where most of us find that out. For me, the realization that there was something real to this process was when Christine Jorgensen came back from Denmark in 1952. I was 12 years old, and if you think the Caitlyn Jenner story was big, that one was even bigger because nobody had ever heard of transgender before. Of course, they use that pejorative term that I don't like, so I'm not going to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyhow. But gaining a sense of myself through that was amazing. But it brought a challenge along with it, because where did you get information about it? There was nothing. I mean, until Al Gore invented the internet in the 90s, there was just absolutely no way to get to anything. So finally, that's a joke, by the way. So finally, when there was more things besides Ask Jeeves and a few others, we were finally starting to get information. Early on, most of the information was like pretty prurient. It was mostly porn stuff, and nothing, she-males and that kind of thing. Yeah. When you sought information on transgender, every library I ever went into, I looked for information, went through the card catalog until I stared myself blind sometimes. But finally figured it out and transitioned at age 60, and I'm been transitioned.
What year was that?
That was 2001.
2001. Okay.
So I'm 81 right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 81 years young.
81 years young.
So the way you describe it is I'm a woman of a certain age.
Yeah. So you've been a woman of a certain age for what, 21 years now?
About 21 or 22 years. Yeah, I actually started medical transition about 99, with 97, 98, somewhere in there, on hormones and stuff. But then when I started living full time in February, on Valentine's Day of all things, of 2001.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So I was my own gift to myself.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's a nutshell.
So that's your, that's how you got to here. When did you become involved in the whole community and making such an amazing contribution back to all of us?
My first girl job was here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And basically for the first 11 years, I was living in stealth. My mother and I were going to a Baptist church. If anybody knew, they kept their mouth shut and didn't bother me. And I certainly wasn't going to challenge their sense of understanding by coming out to them either. Yeah. So, but it helped, because basically I allowed myself to truly live into my gender the way I needed to, rather than looking over my shoulder all the time. Now, granted, there was some of that, but it wasn't quite the same as if I just been out to everybody. So I would say right during that period of time, however, Mom and I would go to Trans Central PA, which is the support group in Harrisburg and the host organization for Keystone. We would go to occasional meetings, not often. Then about, I don't remember what year it would be, maybe 2014, maybe something like that. after mom had passed away. By the way, she lived to 102, and I was
Holy cow.
and I was her primary caregiver. And there's some cute stories I can tell you about her. But at any rate, I started out facilitating meetings because the girl that was the president was kind of bored with it. She didn't mind doing the other stuff. But then I started facilitating one. She finally decided to step down when she realized the job I was doing. And so then I became president of Trans Central and was that for like 5 to 7 years. So really about I would say 2014, somewhere in there is about when I started on the advocacy route.
Okay.
And basically just started as president of Trans Central, just going around doing Trans 101 trainings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was everywhere all the time. When I left the presidency of Trans Central and took over as executive director of Trans Advocacy PA, in the first year, I did 25,000 miles and never got out of the state.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
well, Pennsylvania's a big state too, but still, I mean, that's a lot,
but back and forth, up and down, and every nook and cranny way of going someplace. It was crazy.
Yeah. Amazing. So Keystone, tell us about Keystone. What does Keystone do for the community? I know it's an annual conference, and I know it just held like about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah. 23rd to 27th of March. We just ended it. So, we just did our 12th one. Of course, Christy, who is one of my co-chairs, she and I tell everybody it was our 13th because we were all set to rock and roll with 20, and of course we had to cancel at the last minute because of COVID. We pulled the plug, and a week later, then Governor Wolf, shut the entire state down. So it was a great call. We took some initial heat, but then, everybody said, "Oh, okay." So basically, we never started out with the idea of having a conference. It basically was going to be an educational opportunity just for Trans Central and some of the trans people right around here in the Susquehanna Valley of PA. Yeah. And all of a sudden, somebody heard about it and said, Harrisburg has a conference. And the next thing you know, we were in the conference business. So that's kind of how it evolved. It started off slow from like about 150 to 200 and something to 300 and something to 300 just south of 4 to just north of 4 to just south of 5 to just north of 5. And in 2019, we had 750 attend.
How many did you have this year?
We had just over 6. But again, we had a lot of cancellations, a lot of people gun shy about COVID.
Yeah, I know. It's still out there, isn't it? It's amazing how that's.
But fortunately, the numbers for Lancaster County, where I live, and Dauphin County, where Harrisburg is, I mean, they're only running maybe 2 cases a day now. So it's really dropped to nothing. Yeah. So at any rate, we had a lot of last minute cancellations, probably about 30 plus. But
still, you had 600 plus people there.
Yeah, not bad. It's better than First Event had. First Event had to cut themselves down to 75 this year. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Up in Boston, right?
In Boston, yeah.
Yeah.
Been there for it.
So what is the purpose of the Keystone Conference? Is it sort of like just a place to go, be with other trans people?
Well, obviously that's.
I mean, there's multiple goals. Why would somebody want to attend Keystone?
Well, about all the identifiers you had, yes, yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes.
Okay, good.
It's all of those things.
All those.
One of the things that we think separate us from a lot of other conferences is that we give people some real life experiences. For example, on our Friday night, we take busloads of people down into the community to go to restaurants for dinner. Give them that real life exposure. And I can't name them all, but I probably know of at least 36 people that are living full time right now as their authentic selves, simply because they came and it was a transformative experience. When you're sitting there,
that's just fabulous.
When you're sitting in a restaurant and you look around and nobody seems to be paying attention to you, you start thinking, I can maybe make this work. I can make this work.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
And of course, we've had some really amazing keynotes over the years. This last year, we had Our Lady J, who's now the producer and director on Pose and was part of the writing staff for Transparent. Not sure whether it was legal for me to even say that, but whatever. Plus, we had Rodrigo, the current executive director from the National Center for Trans Equality, had that. And then we had an activist from Ottawa, Canada, a binary woman come down and talk on a Saturday. So pretty cool.
Very cool. Very
Well, we
cool.
start on Tuesday and we finish on a Saturday night. And
I think
by
there was
Sunday,
a pool party there on a Thursday.
Yeah, they had one of our members put on a pool party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of Facebook posts from people who were attending. They were giving updates along the way.
That's not my thing. You don't
not a pool party person. Huh?
You don't put an 81-year-old body in a swimming suit. I'm sorry, that just doesn't happen.
Just not happening.
No, sorry.
Very good. So it sounds like an amazing event. I think people should pay attention to it if they want to go, be around other trans people or learn more about how to go through the process.
Well, one of the things,
educational seminars.
Oh yeah, about 80 different workshops.
Yeah.
One year we turned away 75 of them because we didn't have any space for them. Yeah, so we get a lot of interest. Good sponsorship assistance from a lot of the doctors and providers and different categories of people.
Yeah.
It's an exciting thing, and a thing I would tell you is it's an international conference. It isn't.
No kidding.
Obviously, the bulk of our attendance comes from the Upper East Coast and Middle America.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure.
Middle Atlantic.
Right.
But we've got them from all 50 states. We got them from probably 4 to 5 eastern provinces in Canada.
Wow.
We've had girls come from as far away as New Zealand and South Africa.
No kidding.
Oh yeah. So Belgium.
That is really cool. I like that.
Yeah. So it's an international conference. I'm not sure exactly how many people we had from overseas. I know we had a number of people from Canada because we had to make arrangements for return testing on COVID tests so they could get back in the country. So
I know I had a woman on here that I interviewed a few weeks ago, Gabrielle Claiborne. I think she was
I know
part of your conference this year.
Yeah, she's an author.
Yeah, she was a good interview.
I haven't ever met her in person that I know of, but I know of her. So
okay, yeah, we had her on here a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the whole thing is just quite an event. So I would definitely strongly urge people, if they want to get involved and they want to learn and they want to meet other people, to check out the Keystone Conference, which will be in March of next year.
Yeah. We don't have dates yet because we don't have contracts signed with the hotels. So
yeah, but you'll get there.
But here's the other amazing thing: we put it together with 3 co-chairs.
No kidding, just the 3 of you did that. God bless you. That is amazing.
Because you know what we learned? Committees sit around and talk. 3 people get work done.
Right. Yeah.
But we're actually a fearsome foursome because one of the girls stepped up as our registrar this year, who's not a co-chair. Yeah. But between 4 of us, we put this whole thing together. And then once we put everything in place, then we just turn to our volunteers from the community and from our organization. Yeah. And even people coming to the conference that step up and help. So once we've got the track to run on, all they got to do is keep their feet on the path and we're good to go. So
awesome. That is very, very cool.
But I guess I'd rather talk about some of the things we're trying to do, from an advocacy standpoint. I mean, the conference is amazing in itself. And I want to take
fire away. We're here to, educate the community and do what we can. So more than
obviously, with the exception of the gubernatorial position, the state's pretty much red in color. We say we have Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and then everything in the middle is Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I call Pennsylvania Pennsylvania all the time.
But that's only the part that's between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. The rest of it, that part's pretty good. Yeah. But nonetheless, so obviously we're in a Republican-dominated legislature. So the one thing we had come up out of committee last week was HB 972. Which was banning trans kids from participating in sports based on their chosen identity. Yeah. It's going to go to the floor. We think there's a potential that we may have the votes on the floor to kill it. Regardless, Governor Wolf, who's a Democrat, said, I'm going to put the veto pen to it. So and based on the numbers we're counting, we don't think there'll be a sustained that nobody would be able to overturn the veto. So.
There's a lot of noise going on, obviously, over that swimmer.
Yeah, and if you look at her record, she hasn't done that well.
Well,
she really hasn't.
Lately, she's done. I understand why people get upset about that particular person in particular.
But really, Jessica, you need to go back and look at what her record has been as a female. Yeah, she kicked butt when she was a boy.
Yeah.
But as a female, she placed 4th and 5th and 6th and more times than not.
Then
So
so what's to be upset about then?
that's my point. I mean, look
Yeah.
at Renee Richards. You remember her?
Yeah.
The tennis player?
Yeah.
The Women's Professional Tennis Association raised hell about it.
Yeah.
Oh, we can't have a man that's masquerading as a woman playing tennis. She got her ass handed to her more times than she didn't.
Yeah.
In fact, Bobby, I think it was Bobby, what was his name? That goofball.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
He doused her too, you know.
Yeah.
And she went up against Billie Jean King, and Billie Jean King trounced her left, right, and center. So, I mean, you know, the thing is, people don't understand. I don't have any body strength left.
Right.
There is no way.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
but in like a swimmer's case, he's just over a year on hormones.
But still, I tell you what, it's pretty damn instant how your strength goes away. Back in the day when I was living with my family, I could carry a gallon of milk on each of those 4 fingers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 16 pounds on 2 fingers here, 16 pounds on 2 fingers.
Yeah.
I can't even pick up a gallon of milk with a fist anymore.
Yeah. I've been on hormones now about, I don't know, 6 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's amazing to me, the body strength that I've lost. Oh yeah. I mean, like
how you fix for bat wings.
The muscle mass is amazingly how much it's gone away, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, you replace them all with fat cells.
Yeah, well, in some places, I'm glad that happened. In other places,
I know.
Glad.
My problem is I got my mom's skinny butt and her big belly, but I got daddy's hair. So if I have a choice with anything, I'll take the hair.
Yeah, I'm bald, so I had to.
Well, I have to readjust mine every now and then.
Yeah, I had to make magic happen.
Yeah.
But in any case, I mean, I think overall, you know, once somebody's transitioned and they don't have the muscle mass anymore, why shouldn't they be? But you know, in that period where they're still, then I understand why somebody could be upset about that. I don't agree with it, but I can see how they could get upset.
I don't even get it. I'm not as condescending as you are on that point. I'm sorry. That's, you know, the thing is that mentally we're still not, we're female.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it has nothing to do. It's what's in here.
Yeah.
Not what's in here.
Yeah.
You know, so let's get over it.
Yeah.
But obviously there's a lot of other issues that we're dealing with. We got a lot of school boards that are trying to do the same thing. I like to think that in most cases, what's happened in the Supreme Court with the Title VII, where Gorsuch came out and said no, sex and gender are equatable.
Right.
We needed that really badly, because once we get that in case law and stated, you know, that can be used as a case. Plus, you have to have the fact that you have Gavin Grimm case. He just got a $2 million settlement from the state of North Carolina because he was denied access to a bathroom as a trans man, a trans boy. So we're winning. It's just slow to come.
And this is mostly on the state level, right?
Yeah. And of course, we've been fighting in Pennsylvania for 14 to 16 years, trying to get language into the Human Rights Act. And here's the thing that's pitiful. The Human Rights Act in Pennsylvania was initially passed in 1955. And according to what I hear in terms of history, they actually had inclusive language in the first draft that got approved. Yeah. But the Supreme Court struck it down because there was something with the language that didn't quite match up. And so ever since, we've been trying to get that back into the law, and it just hasn't happened.
Uphill battle for sure there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had and I'll call him out. His name is Darrell Metcalf. He was a House committee chair from Cranberry Township, which is just near the Pittsburgh area.
Okay.
And he was the chair, and he says, as long as I'm the chair of this committee, and it'll never see the light of day. Period.
Lovely.
So that's what we're up against. We could get a little ways in the Senate, but we never could get anywhere in the House. He finally stepped down and got a different committee assignment, but we still haven't gotten any progress. So those are the issues that we're dealing with. But most of what I do is, or at least I did before COVID, was going around the Commonwealth doing Trans 101s, trying to educate people. Yeah. And trying to make sure when they saw me, they didn't see horns and a tail.
Right. Doing talks and stuff like that. Is that what you're doing? Yeah. Gotcha.
Now a lot of it's on Zoom and has been for the last year or so. I'm getting a chance to get back out on the road and do a few in-persons, but those are a little bit more rare now. So. And
what is the commissioner on the Pennsylvania Affairs Commission? What is that?
Well, it grew out of two things. We first had a governor's work group, and it was about 4 or 5 stakeholders, Trans Central PA, Equality PA, Pennsylvania Youth Congress, and the mayor's office out of Philadelphia as stakeholders.
Yeah.
And the rest of the people in the room were all the policy wonks out of the administration. And so when we came up with issues that we needed to address, the policy wonks would go back to their departments and work it. And some things we got done was in the Department of Health. We got birth certificate things changed. It doesn't have to say mother and father. It can say parent and parent. We now can, if you have a doctor's certificate, you don't have to go through gender confirmation to get your birth certificate changed as long as you're born in PA.
Right.
We now have the X as a gender marker on driver's licenses. So we got about 26 things done on policy. But the problem is that puts us in a position where we're working within a certain circle, and there's only we can't speak out politically. The commission, however, can speak out a little more politically. In other words, we can speak to the issues as a commission.
Yes.
We're not as hamstrung as we were in that work group.
Well, so it sounds like a good thing then.
Oh yeah, and we've got activating committees. I'm on a working group for aging.
Yeah.
We managed to get about a bunch of things added to the Pennsylvania aging plan. We've gotten education accomplished in all the areas of aging offices where the LGBT awareness and everything else got that increased. So, and we're also in the planning stages for a second summit on LGBT issues in aging. So that's the second one we got going on. So yeah, and we've got committees dealing with trans housing. We got committees dealing with voting. We got committees dealing with youth. The commission's pretty active.
Do you have time to sleep?
I get a couple hours a night. No, I get more.
Very busy lady, from what
I get more than that. Plus, I'm incredibly active in my church too. So.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
As if you didn't have enough to do already.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing: when you're my age, if you can sit around and vegetate, or you can stay as busy as possible.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot more fun to be busy than bored.
Oh God, yes. And considering that I've been in this 140 square foot space in here for the last 2 years, it really is a relief to be able to get out. Do stuff.
I'll bet, right? I know.
Or even for that matter, expand my walls electronically. Even that makes a difference.
Very cool. Well, I want to thank you on behalf of the entire community for everything you're doing for the rest of us to try and make the world easier for everybody. So it looks like you're really putting a lot of effort into it, and it sounds like it's paying off in a lot of different avenues.
Jessica, if you think about it, our journey got a little bit easier. Why? Because we had people walk the path before us.
Yes.
And the more of us that walk down that path, the wider that path becomes, and it becomes easier for more people. So we have to thank the people that came before us, but we have the obligation to pay it forward too. And that's where I come from.
Well said. Well said indeed. Well, thank you for taking the time today to talk to us. This is my pleasure. Great. And I'm just amazed at all the things you're doing. So
we only scratched the surface, I want you to realize.
Yeah, I bet. I know there's a lot to be done. There really is. Yeah. So do you have any words of advice for somebody who is, realizing that they need to make a change and they're totally scared? What advice would you give to somebody who's just getting new and approaching this whole?
Here's what I tell people.
Yeah,
we have this problem with radar.
Yeah.
And it's going like this all the time, trying to pick up negative vibes every place you go. Mm-hmm. Tear down your radar and throw it away.
Amen. You
got to be in a position where you're out of things to give. No, I don't want to use the word because you're in an open forum here, but you know what I'm saying, out of F's to give. Okay.
Yeah.
You basically have to adopt that attitude and just say, I'm going to venture boldly into the world, and what happens, happens. Yeah. And we have a tendency to sometimes to precondition how we think people are going to react.
Yep.
And it's going to surprise us sometimes. And I told you, I don't know if we're probably getting running close to time, but let me share one little quickie with you.
Sure. Go ahead.
My mother was good to go from the first time she heard my story.
Really? That's fabulous.
And she was a dyed-in-the-wool, all of her life Baptist. And I thought, oh my God, she's never going to accept it. But so I transitioned. She got to see her son become her daughter. Yep. We were living in Western Nebraska. And you probably never heard of Scottsbluff before, but maybe you have. But It's way out in the southwestern corner, about 50 miles from Wyoming. So you can get the picture.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I went to this little independent church with her once. But usually I use Sunday as my catch-up day. I was managing hotels, and Sunday would be my admin day. And so I'd drop her off at church, do my admin stuff, and then go pick her up and go home. But I went with her to church once, and I met this really good friend of hers once. So I transitioned, as I said, mid-February of 2001. And probably about April or so, a month or two later, we ran into this woman in the grocery store. And the two little old ladies, back and forth. How you doing? What are you doing? Blah, blah. And finally, the woman turned and said, "Who's this?" And my mom said, "Well, that's my daughter, Joanne." It was, "Oh, my goodness." She said, "I knew you had a son named John. I didn't know you had a daughter named Joanne." She says, "Well, they're the same person. I like her better."
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And I think the people that knew me before and know me now,
Yeah.
I think that would be almost a universal comment, that this is a better version of the person that started out back in 1940.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times from people in my orbit as well.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Well, it's been fun. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, I'm so glad we got a chance to do this. Thank you very much for attending. I would tell everyone here, if you are interested and we want to go to a good conference, that Keystone Conference is worth checking out.
Absolutely.
It'll be in March of next year, and I'm sure once Joanne and her committee of 4 will get it figured out, dates will be on their website and whatnot. And
yeah, we're in a matter of contract review right now, so hopefully we'll be able to publish dates here pretty soon.
Yeah. So I saw a lot on online about the conference this year. A lot of people posting. So it sounded like it was a really, really good event. Yeah. You had great speakers and all.
Well, and the other side of that is that, people have been denied the opportunity to be with one another for 2 years.
Yep.
But now all of a sudden, boom, the dam's open and the water's flowing. Let's do this,
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any ideas for what you would like to see us talking about in the future, please send us a message. We'll do our best to accommodate. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on the internet, MyTransgenderNation.com, obviously here on YouTube. And I greatly appreciate you taking the time to pay attention today. Take care, everyone.